In today's video, I'm taking a look at NZXT's new range of mechanical gaming keyboards. The Function is available in a variety of sizes: a full-size keyboard that retails for $129.99, a 10 keyless that retails for $109.99, and a mini TKL that retails for $99.99 here in the UK. All three of these are virtually the exact same product in terms of specifications, the only real difference being the size, which also results in a few visual differences. All three of these are hot swappable, have some gamer-oriented design touches, and overall promise a great keyboard experience, and in this video you'll find out if they're worth buying. Starting off with the unboxing, all three of these keyboards come in packaging you'd expect from NZXT with a white and purple colourway. There are also some nice spot gloss elements, and at the back of the box is all the information you need to know about the products. All three keyboards include this little card telling you to download the software and manuals from NZXT's website, a keycap puller and a switch puller. Both have NZXT's signature purple colour scheme. You also get a braided 2-meter USB-C to A cable in the box. This cable feels great and hasn't kinked at all since I've had it. It's a good quality cable. If you're getting the full size or the TKL version of this keyboard, you'll also get a wrist rest included, but you don't get one with the mini TKL. I don't really know why we don't get one with the mini TKL. It would have been nice to have had one included just to keep the range more consistent, and considering that the mini TKL isn't actually that much smaller than the TKL, I don't know why we couldn't have got a wrist rest with a mini TKL as well. Looking at the wrist rest, it's quite nice though. It has a silicone feel top layer to cushion your wrist, and the way it's been cut to fit the keyboard looks really sleek. While testing the NZXT Function Keyboards, I've also been reviewing the Asus ROG Strix Scope RX TKL Deluxe, which comes with a nice plush wrist rest, but this one puts the NZXT offering to shame. The Asus wrist rest is far more comfortable, and it almost makes NZXT's feel like an afterthought. When it comes to the size of the keyboards, the mini TKL measures 33.8cm by 12.3cm by 4cm and weighs 722 grams on my scales. The TKL measures 36.1cm by 12.7cm by 4cm and weighs 774 grams on my scales. And finally, the full-size keyboard measures 44.2cm by 12.7cm by 4cm and weighs 926 grams on my scales. And when you look at these side by side, it is surprising how the mini TKL isn't actually that much smaller than the standard TKL. Out of the two, I personally prefer the TKL in terms of layout. It feels like there's more breathing room, and from a user experience perspective, having a separate line of function keys feels more comfortable to me. But you may like the mini TKL's layout. I must admit that I do like the design of these keyboards. They're very minimalist and the colourway looks striking, regardless of whether you go for the white or black version. I will say though that the full-size keyboard looks so long and thin, it looks a bit ridiculous in my opinion, especially compared to the TKL and the mini TKL that look a lot more uniform. Now, although these keyboards look great as they are, NZXT does offer further customization via their build website. If you go for a fully custom design, you can choose between a black, white or gunmetal grey chassis. You can customize a variety of things, including what switches you want. Each switch set costs an additional €24, so about £20. You can choose between Gateron brown, blue or red switches, and if you pay a bit more, you can go for premium switches, and your options are alias silent and silent black ink switches. There's also an option to choose between PBT keycaps, accent keycaps and cable colour. So lots of ways here to customize the function how you like. Looking at the layout of all three keyboards, the full size and 10 keyless are what's to be expected from keyboards of this type when it comes to key placement, but the mini TKL manages to cram every key from the 10 keyless into a much more compact form factor. In fact, on the mini TKL, we even get an extra function key and a dedicated macro key, something that we don't get on the other two, although you will need to map these in NZXT's Cam software, as these do nothing out of the box. Looking at the build quality of these keyboards, the majority of the build is ABS plastic, but we do get a matte textured aluminium top plate to add extra durability. With moderate pressure, there is some flex, but this shouldn't be a concern as you won't be forcefully bending it every day. All three are reasonably well made compared to similar priced gaming keyboards, but there's definitely nothing special about the build quality, and if anything besides the top plate, the rest feels very generic. In terms of branding, only the full-size and TKL keyboards feature the NZXT logo on the top. This looks okay on the black version, but on the white, this looks more like a cream, and I think this really cheapens the design. But you might like it. At the back of the keyboard, you have the USB-C port, and this is on the left side, which is fine. It's worth mentioning that all three keyboards support Windows 10 and 11, and when connected via USB you get 100% anti-ghosting, full N-key rollover, and a maximum polling rate of 1000 Hz. Turning the function over, all three versions have two-step adjustable feet so you can have the keyboard at your preferred angle, as well as 5 rubber pads to stop the keyboard from moving around on your desk. In terms of buttons and functionality, all three keyboards have what NZXT calls gamer-centric controls on the left-hand side of the chassis, which gives you some quick adjustments. First, you have a volume roller that has a nice tactile click when you rotate it. This offers some pretty decent resistance so you don't accidentally turn down the volume too much. The actual roller and mechanism itself though does feel quite cheap and isn't anything special. Beneath the volume roller, you get a mute button, a win-lock key, and then finally there's a button to control the backlight, and there are 5 different steps to cycle through various brightness levels including off. Now personally, I'm really not a fan of the placement of any of these buttons on the left-hand side. I tend to reposition my keyboard a lot with my left hand while I'm gaming, and I often found that I was accidentally pressing buttons, using the volume roller, and that got really frustrating. And I don't really know why this is considered a gamer-centric design, because you still need to take your fingers off WASD to use any of these buttons anyway. To make matters even worse, you can't even disable these keys in NZXT's Cam software, so you just have to live with them. So the keycaps on the retail version of the function are ABS plastic. If you want PPT keycaps, you need to go to NZXT's website and use their build option. Quite honestly, these keycaps feel thin, cheap and glossy with no real texture to them. There's a good chance that these will wear down after years of use, and for this price point I do think we should have got PPT keycaps. Luckily, all three versions of the NZXT function have a standard bottom row, so you can get aftermarket PPT keycaps if you want. So this month I've been testing a variety of different keyboards, and while I was testing the NZXT function, I was also using the Mountain Everest 60, and that does have PPT keycaps, and the difference is night and day in terms of quality. The NZXT keycaps are definitely a lot cheaper feeling and lack any kind of premium feel. One good thing I can say about the keycaps though is that the RGB backlighting does shine through very brightly, and the RGB in general is bright on this keyboard, and I'll touch on that in a minute. The switches on the retail version of the NZXT function are hot swappable Gateron red switches. Spec-wise, these have 45 grams of actuation force, 55 grams bottom out force, an actuation distance of 2mm and 4mm of total travel. You also get 50 million key presses out of these, which will last you plenty of time. Typing on this keyboard is what you'd expect from linear red switches, quiet and smooth, and when gaming or just typing for work, these have been great. If you're not a fan of the Gateron red switches included, you can replace these switches with any other 5-pin MX compatible switch you want to use. I think it's great that at this price point we do have a hot swappable option here. And here's how the function sounds when typing. I found that all three of these keyboards sound particularly rattly and cheap. As I mentioned already, I've been testing the Mountain Everest 60 this month as well, and again, the difference is night and day when it comes to the sound. The NZXT function also has a fair amount of pinging or sound resonance when you bottom out the keys, something that you tend to see in cheaper keyboards with an aluminium top plate that haven't bothered to add much sound dampening. And just so you can hear the sound difference between the NZXT function and the Everest 60 that I just mentioned, here's a comparison. Considering the Mountain Everest 60 costs around the same price as the TKL version of the function, it's insane the difference in quality when it comes to sound, general feel, and the typing experience. One thing I can praise about the function is the RGB lighting, which is bright and vivid. On both the black and white version, the RGB is vibrant, although the white does look a bit brighter, and that's likely due to the black absorbing more light. Changing the RGB from a hardware point of view is done by holding the FN key and pressing F1 to F4, each of which will cycle through a different keyboard profile that has various RGB presets. When cycling through the different preset profiles, you have white, wave, color cycle, and reactive ripple. Now, to fine-tune the RGB to your liking and customize the individual keys, you will need to use NZXT's Cam software. So NZXT Cam is a fairly decent software, and I've yet to experience any issues with it. From the top left, you can go through your various profiles, and across from that you can select whether the profile change is saved to the device. The main customization window lets you edit either RGB or remap your keys. RGB options are pretty endless when it comes to standard and reactive modes, and you can also edit per key lighting to have custom RGB however you want. You can also adjust the brightness from here as well. What I do like about NZXT's Cam is that you can get a visual preview of the effects you've added. Scrolling down, you can create new macros. Advanced settings include disabling the FN and Windows keys, and finally you can set the keyboard region between UK, German and French if you have the UK ISO version. So in general, the NZXT Function is a capable keyboard, but I can't help but feel that all of them are a little bit overpriced. And besides being able to swap out the switches, the Function doesn't really do anything special to make it stand out from all the other keyboards on the market, which was basically my reaction to the NZXT Lift as well. The typing experience has been quite loud and clanky, and there's also a fair amount of metallic ping from the lack of sound dampening used. The ABS keycaps feel slippy and glossy, so the typing experience isn't that pleasing, at least to me. You might like glossier keycaps. I'm also not a fan of the gamer-centric buttons on the left-hand side, as these are so easy to accidentally press in, especially if you're someone like me that tends to readjust their keyboard a lot with their left hand. So besides the sleek, streamlined look of these keyboards, the NZXT Function is quite disappointing when it comes to performance. As this is NZXT's first attempt at making a mechanical gaming keyboard, all I can hope is that in the future we see more premium options. And that's it for my review of the NZXT Function. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave the video a like, it really helps out the Kit Guru channel. If you have any comments or questions about the product, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to see more from us, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon as well, and you'll be notified when Kit Guru uploads another video. If you want to pick up one of these cool t-shirts like I've been wearing during this video, the merch links are in the description. Check us out on Patreon as well, you can support us to unlock some exclusive content. My name's Jack, you've been watching Kit Guru, and I'll see you in the next one.